UK. And just a few caveats that you need to be aware of on the sole representative visa. So the criteria around who can be a sole representative, and the Home Office clarifies that the sole representative is a direct employee. So you cannot be an agent for a business, you cannot be a sales representative or a buyer only for a business, but you need to be a full-time employee. So you need to have a payroll, you need to have a salary slip, you probably need to get your tax deducted, or if you're on the Provident Fund or something for the company, if they have a program, then they would need to see evidence of all of that. The overseas business, the sole representative cannot own more than 50% shares. So the sole representative visa has had a series of changes which were announced and which came into effect from 4th of June this year. So basis of that, the new rules which have come in, or the amendments that have come in as of 4th of June, some of the requirements have continued in that the sole representative cannot own more than 50% of the shares. And this was there in the earlier ones as well. But now the Home Office has gone a step further, and they've clarified that the sole representative cannot control more than 50% of the voting rights as well. And this, in a primary sense, is designed for businesses that could be based in the Middle East, where it's a local requirement that they need to have a majority shareholder who is a national of that particular country, but the person who's the minority shareholder is actually controlling the business. So to get around it, the Home Office has created and specified these rules. So if you want to apply as a sole representative, you cannot be holding more than 50% share in the business. You cannot be the self-employed owner. So if you are a sole proprietor, or if the business is set up as a sole proprietorship and you are the sole proprietor, then that does not qualify you for this particular visa. So then we would have to look at a different way to say, okay, how can we make this work for you in that case? You can neither be in a partnership agreement where you own more than 50% of the business. So again, it's all designed to ensure that the primary place of the business remains outside the UK. They don't want the entire management to be shifting to the UK as a part of this application process. And when we look at the definition of an overseas business, typically what the Home Office is looking for is to say that, is this business having some kind of a turnover? Is it actively trading as a business? The business must have a registered office outside the UK. So the principal place of business could be in Dubai, could be in Singapore, could be in the US, could be in Indonesia, or it could be in India. And then they're looking at setting up a branch or a subsidiary in the UK. If a business already exists in the UK, then it doesn't qualify under this route. Then we would generally advise them to look at the tier 2 on the sponsor license side and do a work permit, kind of an approach. So that's typically what we would look forward to. And when we're looking at the overseas business as well, the person who's nominated as an employee is required to carry out a similar nature of the business, which is that of the primary or the parent company. So if we look at the memorandum and the article of association of the company, what is it that the company can do? The sole representative can carry out a similar or the same business only in the UK. So that's another change that's kind of gone through under the new regulations. So these are kind of the important definitions, so to speak, that you need to be aware of if you're considering making an application under this particular category. Now, we also get a lot of interest from people who are looking at saying that, okay, how will this particular category work if we have a sole proprietorship, or if you want to do a different kind of a business? What we generally recommend to the clients is to say that when we do a personal review, we will understand, what your requirements are, what your long-term objectives are, and then we will customize a solution. So if this route doesn't work for you, then we'll identify an appropriate category. Now, when we look at the eligibility for this particular category of visa, It generally requires that the applicants, be based outside of the European Economic Area. So they could be, or they are non-EU nationals. And the interesting bit about the sole representative is that it's not only for a business, but it can also work for a media house. So, if there's a news agency or a broadcasting organization or a newspaper, even that is covered under this particular requirement. And this is one of the unique kind of, features in terms of, how this particular category shapes up. Now, the key requirement, as we said, is you must be a senior employee. Now, when we say senior, the idea is not that you are somebody who is aged, 40 or 50 years old kind of a thing. So it's not senior in terms of age, but it's seniority in terms of the position. We work with startup businesses, we work with first generation or second generation family businesses where there are young people who are aged 22, 24, or 25 years old, and they are in senior positions in the company. So the Home Office is looking for someone who's either got the experience of understanding the business or who has been nominated by the company to say that, yeah, you know what, we are trusting this guy with our business in the UK. So that's the idea of seniority. So not necessarily age driven. We've emphasized the point about not being a majority shareholder or a partner in the business. And the sole representative requires the applicant to meet the English language requirement. Now, the English language requirement, you could either meet that by taking a test, which is the IELTS, and you need to score at a band 5. So, it's not a very intense requirement that you have to, to work really hard for it or anything of those lines. Even normal conversational English ability is acceptable if you're being nominated as a sole representative. Now, the key criteria that also comes up a lot of times is that the business has to have adequate funds for expansion in the UK. Now, when we look at the terminology to say that, adequate, funds, there's no definition of what adequate entails. But what the Home Office is looking for is, what are your plans for the business in the UK? If you say that I want to set up a factory, or if I want to set up a bigger operation, then obviously the Home Office will say that, okay, how much money are you showing for that? But if you say that I only want to set up a small, one-person operation at the moment and then see how it goes, so we don't really need that much money, then the Home Office will look at taking that into its decision making. So the interesting part about adequate funds is we can tailor make this to a company's requirement. We've had companies who were shown as little as £100,000, which translates to about 85 to 90 lakh rupees, and they're just showing the money. There's no commitment that the business is making that we will invest this money, but they're showing that we have these funds for expansion. And we worked with businesses who are prepared to put in £500,000 or £1 million as well in the UK. So it's across the spectrum. When we make an application for a sole representative visa, the best part is that there is no minimum investment guarantee. So, there are categories like, the golden visas in Europe, or even the tier 1 investor in the UK, which has a minimum investment guarantee. So you have to put in 2 million, you have to put in €500,000 somewhere in Europe, or you have to do 900,000 in the US. But under the sole representative visa, there is no minimum investment guarantee. That's what makes it very interesting for businesses who want to scale up to prepare for this application, because they know that they can test the waters without having to commit and have that pressure, especially in today's environment where, we're not quite sure how things are going to play out in the home country as well. So they don't run the risk of, having a commitment and then at the end of 3 years figuring out, what are we going to do now? Because we haven't invested the money that we said we were or not. So that's the best part of this visa category. The second best part that we look at it is there is no minimum job creation guarantee. Now, if you are looking at, the Canada investor programs for entrepreneurship, or if you're looking at, investor programs or entrepreneur programs in Europe, there's a requirement to say that, you have to generate 10 full-time jobs, or you have to create employment for 5 people. But under the sole representative, there is no minimum job creation guarantee. Because by very definition, what the company is saying is, we're nominating one person to enter the UK and set up a branch. We're not committing to say we're going to hire 10 people in the UK, we're going to hire 20 people in the UK, and it doesn't even play a part in the decision making. And that's what makes it so interesting for businesses to try this out. Now, having looked at the requirements and understanding the key parts of it, it's just very useful to get an overview of the visa process as well. Now, the sole representative visa process starts off with the personalized review. So this is, where we discuss your case with you, we check your eligibility, we determine, what is the paperwork which is required for your customized, case. So like Samir mentioned earlier in the program as well, what we endeavor to do is to match your needs against what the requirements are and try and find a fit. We wouldn't just look at a checklist which is put up on the gov.uk website and say this is what we need, because that is not relevant to entirely your situation. So when we do a personalized review, we look at checking your eligibility, we determine your list of documents, but most importantly, we do an assessment of the feasibility to say whether or not this application has a probability of success. If we're certain that yes, you meet up the merits of this and there is a possibility of success in this particular visa category for you, only then would we advise you to go ahead. And we also put all of our advice in writing to you. So there's no ambiguity whatsoever. So it's not a question about us saying something and it being interpreted in a particular way. It's all there in writing in black and white, why we're saying what we're saying and how we can validate it. We're that confident about the advice that we're going to give you. The second stage in this process is the actual application itself. So preparing the actual application, providing what are the documents. So once we get the documents from the clients, we assess to say that, okay, look, is everything in order? Do we need to tweak anything? Do we need to get any clarifications issued to the Home Office? And we take care of all of that. So our applicants typically get a caseworker who's experienced and who's worked on these kind of applications. There's a senior associate and a partner who's assigned to it. So your application is vetted through 3 different levels before it gets into the Home Office. Once the application is done and the payments are all done in terms of the visa fees and all the rest of it, we then look at taking in an appointment for your biometrics, which is where you then go in, submit the application in person. So it is one of the things with UK visas. It doesn't matter whether you've had a UK visa before, whether you have a 10-year visa or a 5-year visa, you still have to go back and do your biometrics. Your fingerprints have to go back in again. And it doesn't matter who you are. So, we had one of our clients who was nominated as a sole representative, and he was a CEO, and his business had an 800 crore turnover. He was still required to go down, and we can make it easier by booking in a premium lounge for you and all the rest of it. But there's no way that we'll be able to send someone on your behalf to submit this application. And once the visa is granted, then you're required to travel to the UK within a period of 30 days and collect your biometric residence permit. Now, in the current environment, the Home Office will look at giving you a bit of an extension. So we've had clients who got their visas granted in March or in towards the end of March and first week of April before the lockdown kicked in, and they're unable to travel, and their 30 days on the visa have already expired. So what the Home Office has now done is, for this year, they're giving in a grace period till the end of the year. So you don't have to worry about your visas expiring. You've got the end of the year to travel in. But even outside of the pandemic process, you can pay a little bit extra and you can get an extension on this. Now, generally, we also get asked at times to say that, with the sole representative, can I send, 2 people or 3 people on there? then that's not possible, because the whole idea with the sole representative, it means that there's only one person who's nominated. What we can do as a plan for the company is to have one person going first, be the sole representative, set up the company, and then apply for the work permit, the tier 2 sponsor license process for the rest of the guys. So what it does is you can work this in phases. So your main applicant goes in on the sole representative visa. The others come in on the work permit, which is the tier 2 general or the tier 2 intra-company transfer, whichever criteria works for it. Coming back to the process for sole representative, once you have the visa, you're required to travel to the country within 30 days. Once you land in the UK, we then work with you to kind of, get the bank accounts open, incorporate the company, apply for your national insurance, register you for the VATs and the payroll and all the rest of it. All of that is included in the service that we offer to you, so that you don't have to worry about saying that, okay, what do I do once I'm there in the UK? We also have our own office in London, and we are able to provide in-country support. We've helped clients find houses, find schools for their kids, and all of those areas as well. So literally it is a one-stop solution once you are kind of getting into the UK. Here's the best part about the sole representative visa, and this is something that we really love. The whole process can be done from start to finish in 4 to 6 weeks time, and that's just amazing, because if you look at it, if I was to compare it with any other country, we're typically looking at between 3 to 5 months for the process. In some places, it could even take longer, and there's a lot of to and fro. So, you submit an application, they come back with an RFE, you provide the evidence, they come back and they ask for more information or clarification, and the whole process can take up to 3 to 5 months. But with the sole representative visa, you could, from the day when you start a personal review with us and we determine that yes, you are eligible for it, from that day till the end of that process, when your visa is stamped and you're landing in country, it could be as little as 4 weeks, which is just amazing. Because for businesses that are looking at opportunities and they want to grow, and there's a quick opportunity and they want to leverage it, this is possibly the best option in that scenario.